Now, I'm not a fire inspector, but this one looks like an obvious violation. Outside the apartment in the hallway is a fire alarm. It says, lift handle, then pull for fire. When you do that, nothing happens. Now, the co-owner of the mall tells us the water level inside the food court and elsewhere in the building was basically only about knee-high. He says that's a good thing when you realize that this car right here was completely underwater. Now, here is the big concern. If the force of all of that water eventually causes the dam to burst and break, there's going to be a domino effect. There are 2 more dams immediately downstream, and if they both break, all this water could flood Assonet Village. People say pennies aren't worth much nowadays, but they can help us illustrate Rhode Island's pension problems. Let's assume every year taxpayers put in 2 pennies in contributions and retirees take out 4 pennies in benefits. Another year, 2 cents in and 4 cents out. Sooner or later, the math won't add up and the fund will be empty.
ABC6 News at 11 starts right now.
Off the top tonight, the latest on an ABC6 investigation. Good evening, I'm Allison Alexander.
And I'm Mark Curtis in for John DeLuca. ABC6 first broke this story Friday about top officials and civilian guests taking a ride on the Providence fireboat. Well, tonight, 2 of those local politicians are defending their actions. It's a story you will see only on 6. The 4th of July fireworks causing a firestorm of controversy over use of the Providence fireboat that night. Mayor David Cicilline and House Speaker Gordon Fox joining the fire chief and his wife and 3 other civilians for what they say was a 15-minute boat tour of fire operations in the harbor.
What's the controversy?
I don't want to talk about fireboats.
Despite their reluctance, both men did talk about that night.
As the mayor of this city, it was perfectly appropriate for the fire chief of the city to ask me onto that boat to see the equipment.
I was on shore before the fireworks ever started, and that's the appropriate thing to do. It was not a joyride, it was characterized.
Now, both men defended being on the boat on the 4th of July observing the fire department as part of their jobs. That may be so, but then why were there civilian guests who went along? One of the mayor's congressional opponents objects.
Nobody should be abusing taxpayer funds. And it was completely inappropriate, and it's just not right.
Neither man would identify the civilian guests on board.
There was one person that accompanied us on board. I'm not sure who that was, but whether it was a civilian or official, I don't know.
But it wasn't your guest.
It was not my guest.
To see that equipment and see the barge was perfectly appropriate.
Even if it includes civilian guests.
Perfectly appropriate. It was a 15-minute review, perfectly appropriate. Any claim to the contract is absurd.
Mr. Lynch thinks you should reimburse the city for the cost. Well, as you can see, Mayor Cicilline walked away and did not say if he would reimburse the city for the boat ride, as Bill Lynch and others have suggested. Critics say the politicians and civilians on the fireboat would have been in the way had a real emergency broken out. Well, ABC6 Chief Political Analyst Buddy Cianci also weighing in on our investigation. He says the whole episode could hurt the mayor's congressional run. A crowd that police estimate at 5,000 turned out for the Tea Party rally at Boston Common. Many came to see former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin rally the faithful.
Can you open your big mouth to the camera, sir?
Yes, yay! Taxes for war, not for health care! Yeah!
But it was a Sarah Palin impersonator who supports President Obama who really stirred up the debate.
I do have some crazy people like this guy here stalking behind me, like one.
Looking for her to point out one right-wing extremist, because she said there was tons of right-wing extremists here. I asked her to point out one.
And while the vast majority of people here came to support the Tea Party movement, a fair number of people who support the president showed up too and mingled into the crowd. It got pretty lively at times.
He's saying we're going to take from the rich and give to the poor. Exactly. His own words.
Do you really think that Bush didn't tax us?
Tea Party's not racist. No, we're not racist. Don't do that.
Our country is on a slide downhill, and we are in a state of complacency because we have people such as yourself who do not know history.
How do you know I don't know history? Because actually I know a great deal of history.
Others chose not to argue, but just came to support their positions.
Stay out of my health care.
I personally voted for health care.
In the end, the debate was pretty spirited, but very civil. And happening on the Boston Common, you can't get much more American than that. In Boston, Mark Curtis, ABC6 News. 3 minutes after 6 o'clock, New Bedford police have arrested a second suspect in a murder case from earlier this month. ABC6 has learned that 25-year-old Edgar Camacho of New Bedford turned himself into police yesterday afternoon. He was wanted in the shooting death of 19-year-old Anthony Jones. Jones was gunned down January 5th outside of a home on Grinnell Street. Camacho will be back in court on the 28th. We have received several emails since that story first aired, many from other southern New Englanders struggling to get through the web of red tape just to heat their homes. Jennifer Rose lives in this house with her daughter and a disabled son. It is a home without heat. Rose has been in the Energy Oil Assistance Program for 10 years, but this year the oil delivery has not come. After seeing our story on heating help, she called us. Yeah, one of the places that was really a problem yesterday, Division Street, which divides Warwick and East Greenwich, it was really bad. And so some of that, I noticed this morning on the way to work, there's still some puddles of water out there, so folks be careful this morning. Investigators are reviewing that video, not yet releasing it to the public, that shows what led up to that moment to try to see more about accused gunman Jared Loeffner's actions and demeanor. It is clear surveillance store video from the Safeway store where just outside Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords was meeting with constituents.
Happened at a Congress on your corner.
Gifford's husband, astronaut Mark Kelly, told Diane Sawyer in an exclusive ABC interview that he has seen the picture of Loeffner and that he has seen enough. It's unlikely the videotapes will be released before Loeffner's trial. 11 minutes after 6 o'clock, there is plenty more to come here on Good Morning Providence. Still ahead, at least one person is dead after a natural gas explosion in Pennsylvania. Look at that video. 15 minutes after 6 o'clock, House Republicans are scheduled to flex their muscles and push through legislation today that would repeal the health care reform that some opponents call Obamacare. The vote faces certain defeat, though, over in the U.S. Senate, where Democrats are still in the majority. President Obama says he's willing to improve but not repeal his new health care law, saying Americans deserve knowing that insurance companies cannot deny, cap, or drop their coverage when people need it most. President Obama also formally welcomes Chinese President Hu Jintao to the White House today. The Obama administration rolled out the red carpet for the Chinese president last night at his airport arrival ceremony. Now, that is a rare honor for a foreign leader, and it marked the start of Hu's two-day visit that will include an Oval Office meeting and 2 dinners with Mr. Obama. No major breakthroughs are predicted. Asian experts, though, say that one key focus for Mr. Obama and Mr. Hu is simply mending fences. Yeah, don't be surprised. Airlines are now charging for checked bags and in-flight meals. Well, some additional fees we may see this year. No more free flights for infants, no more free drinks, and no more heavy carry-on bags. If it's over 25 pounds, you will likely have to pay extra.
Though the Celtics didn't have a game last night.
And how about those Bruins making us forget all about football? Well, almost. Here's ABC6 Sports Director Ken Bell. Ken's right, the man's everywhere. It's amazing he has time for basketball.
Yeah.
All right, I want some Oreo cookies,
great addition
though.
to the team, right? Of
All
course
right.
you want the cookies.
6:27 is the time. Still ahead here on Good Morning Providence. The suspect in a deadly shooting in Mansfield from the weekend is facing a judge this morning. It is just about 6:15 in financial news. The jobless claims report is due out this morning, and a back-to-back jump in claims could raise concerns over a weak employment picture, and that could affect the markets today. Here's how the markets are opening this morning. The Dow is up, opening at 12,453. In fact, way up 186 points. The Nasdaq also up, starting the day at 2,802. Major League Baseball is appointing a representative to oversee operations of the Los Angeles Dodgers. MLB Commissioner Bud Selig says he's concerned about the team's finances. The league's action follows reports that co-owner Frank McCourt has borrowed money to meet payroll obligations and would have to buy out his estranged wife to become the sole owner of the team. Selig will announce the name of that representative in the coming days. 16 minutes past 6 o'clock, two Western photojournalists, including an Oscar-nominated director, were killed while covering battles between rebels and Libyan government forces. British-born photographer and filmmaker Tim Hetherington was rushed to a hospital with a leg wound but died 15 minutes after arriving there. Death toll from Japan's earthquake and tsunami has now reached 11,108, but factoring in those who are still listed as missing, that death count could actually reach as high as 27,000. Officials say most of those victims have been identified as older than 60, and most of them drowned. Workers in Japan may go into the most heavily damaged nuclear reactor at the Fukushima Daiichi power plant, and they may do it soon.
There's 23. Prom night this year will be extra sweet for one Wisconsin couple.
That's because Tara Fry's mom made her entire outfit from Starburst wrappers. That's right. Thousands and thousands of the colorful square wrappers folded into a dress, shoes, a purse, even a vest for Tara's date.
And each wrapper is folded 8 times. And you have to finish the folds with a tweezer to get it just perfect.
Wow, the ensemble took 6 years to make. No word on where all the candy went. I'd be curious about that.
Yeah,
I like the sheepish state. He's kind of get that look on his face like, why am I wearing this vest made of Starburst?
Was that your high school boy impression?
I don't know. Well, police in Fall River are urging residents to lock their car doors. That warning comes after several instances of neighborhood cars targeted by thieves. Police arrested a 26-year-old man Monday night in the area of Boyden Street. A neighbor heard a car alarm going off and called police. The incident is the latest in a string of car break-ins, which police say are most likely by people walking around and trying car handles. Good Morning Providence continues with all the news, weather, and traffic you need, so join us on News Channel 5.
Have a great day, everybody.